In today's video, we're gonna take my van from Idaho down to Utah to get a lift put on it. And yeah, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll let you know how much this thing cost to get lifted. What is going on, YouTube? Greetings from Salt Lake City, actually a hotel in Salt Lake City. The reason I'm at a hotel is because I'm dropping off my van this morning to get a 3-inch lift put on it. If you've been watching my channel, you know I did some damage to the bottom of my van, specifically to the battery box. Well, I got that fixed, but I knew I wanted to take this thing off-road to places that I probably shouldn't take it. So I thought a lift would be a good idea. I did a ton of research and I decided on a company called Off Highway Vans. So that's where I'm headed. I'm taking my vehicle over there. I'm gonna drop it off for 2 days and they're gonna put a 3-inch lift on it. So should be pretty cool. So let's go. So I dropped my van off around 8 a.m. on Monday morning and I was told to come pick it up the next day, Tuesday, late afternoon, around 3 or 4. So it's a pretty quick turnaround to get your van lifted here. Okay, one last look at the van before I go get it lifted. Notice how close my tire is to the top of the wheel well, and also notice how low my black tank dump is and my running board is. Oh, wow. Oh, that's so cool. That's so much higher. My battery box is so much farther off the ground. So cool. Yeah, no, that's pretty awesome. So really quick, let's look at some before and after pics. This photo is from a campsite I was at in Colorado, and notice my running board, how close it is to the ground here. So here's a photo of my van with the lift, and you'll notice I have a lot more clearance under my running board, underneath the rear of the van, and a lot more clearance underneath the front of the van. This picture is pretty awesome. It shows how much more distance I have between the wheel well and my tire. Okay, let me turn you over to Aaron, one of the owners of OHV, really quick, and let him tell you what they did to my van, and then I'll go out and test my van and see how it drives, see how the stability is, things like that.
So Kevin brought in his Winnebago Travato. It's the National Parks edition, which we've been seeing a lot of lately because they're such a cool option on this Winnebago chassis. And he wanted us to install our Promaster lift kit. It gives you 3.5 inches of extra clearance in the front of the van and 2.5 in the rear. The rear lift is really interesting because it's a lift plate that raises that solid rear axle, so it not only gives you extra ground clearance for your generator and your water tanks and things like that, it actually also raises that low part of the van, that axle, up by 2.5 inches. With that lift kit, it allows you to install some extra large tires so you can get a little more aggressive traction and just handle getting off-road, getting to the trailhead a little easier.
So I left the dealership about 3 hours ago. I wanted to really put the lift to the test. So I drove about an hour and a half out of Salt Lake on the highway at 70 miles an hour to see if there were any stability or handling issues at high speed. And then I turned around, came back to Salt Lake, and I've been driving around trying to feel a difference because I've heard that when you get a lift like this, there can be stability issues, it drives different, but I'll be honest with you, I can't tell any difference whatsoever in the way it drives. The only real difference I notice is when I go to get into the van and I have to step up a little higher. But other than that, I don't even feel like I'm any higher in the driver's seat. So there are definitely no driving issues that I've noticed. Now I know it's early on, it's only been 3 hours since I got it back. So I'm gonna check back in with you in about a week. It'll be seamless to you, it'll be right away. But in about a week, I'm gonna check back in and tell you if there have been any issues or if I still have the same impression that it feels exactly the same. The only difference is it's a little bit higher when I try to get inside of it. So this is one of the things I really love about this lift. I can fit in most standard parking spots, but at 21 feet, sometimes I stick out a little bit and it just doesn't work. Well, now I can come right up on the curve. Before I would have scratched the bottom, but now it's not an issue and I can pull right up to it. And then when I pull up to a curb like that, I don't have to worry about my running board scratching on it anymore now that I have that lift. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so I spent the last week or so in and around the Salt Lake City area. I wanted to be close to Off Highway Vans just in case I had any issue with the lift. I could go in there and get it fixed really easily. I put about 150 miles on the van exploring Provo, Salt Lake City, and I've had no issue, but I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to go exploring. So I'm headed up to West Yellowstone to meet some escaper friends. So I've got about 300 miles of highway driving to go, and then about 10 or 15 miles of Forest Service road to drive in the National Forest up there. So it should be another good test of the 3-inch lift that I had put on here. If you're enjoying this video, please hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment below telling me where you're watching from. The YouTube algorithm will show this video to more people the more thumbs up and the more comments I have. So I appreciate you doing that. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my weekly videos. So I'm about 250 miles into this drive. I just entered the National Forest, went through a pass, so had some pretty big hills. I didn't notice any performance issues, anything different than any other time I've went through steep hills. So to me, it drives exactly the same as it did before the lift. We'll see. I'm getting ready to head out onto the Forest Service roads. If anything, that's going to be better because it's going to be at slower speeds. And, you know, I have the lift. I'm higher up, so I don't have to worry as much about bottoming out or hitting a rock that's sticking up or anything like that. So the main Forest Service roads were actually pretty well maintained and didn't really put my lift to the test. There were a couple rocky areas, but I could not find a campsite, so I had to go down roads that I would not have went down before I got the lift. So this is a pretty awesome campsite. I explored the main roads of this national forest, the main service roads, the gravel ones, and there weren't any campsites available. So luckily I had this lift and I was able to go down some of the side service roads that were a little bit rougher, and I was able to find this spot, which is awesome. I'm at the edge of the national forest, but this is exactly why I got the lift, was to get places like this without worrying about damaging my Travato. Okay, so let's answer that question. How much did this lift cost? So it's pretty pricey. It's gonna be some sticker shock here. I know I'm gonna get some haters. It was $2,800 to get it lifted, which is pricey. I know some people are gonna be like, man, you're nuts, but for me, it was worth it. And if this video does well enough, maybe this video will pay for it. So if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, share it, subscribe, do everything you can. Make that 28 bucks a worthwhile investment. See you in the next video.
Oh, I wanna stay right here, chilling with my friends for another year.